A UN judge has been convicted after forcing a woman to work as a slave. Lydia Mugambe, also a High Court judge in Uganda, was found guilty of conspiring to facilitate a breach of UK immigration law, forcing someone to work and conspiracy to intimidate a witness. The woman was genuinely shocked she had committed a crime. Take a look at her arrest.
So unfortunately I'm going to have to now arrest you on suspicion of keeping somebody in slavery and servitude under the Modern Slavery Act. So you don't have to say anything, but it may harm your defence if you do not mention when questioned, something which later on in court,
Officer,
anything you do say may be used as evidence. All right. Sorry?
I am a judge in my country. I even have immunity. I am not a criminal.
You've got immunity in this country?
Yes. I have a diplomatic passport.
You're a diplomat?
Yes.
So we'll need to see that then.
Yes.
And then we'll need to speak to the embassy if you are a diplomat.
I came here as a student. I don't need her to work for me. I didn't come with her. She asked me because she has worked at my home before. She asked me.
Gasps were heard from the public gallery as the verdicts were given, according to the BBC. The court was then cleared as Mugambe apparently felt unwell. The prosecutor in the case alleged Mugambe, here studying for a law PhD at Oxford, had conspired with the Ugandan Deputy High Commissioner John Leonard Mugerwa to bring the woman to the UK. The pair apparently participated in a, quote, very dishonest trade-off, in which Mugerwa arranged for the Ugandan High Commission to sponsor the young woman to come to the UK. In exchange, Mugambe would attempt to speak to a judge who was in charge of legal action Mr Mugerwa was named in, jurors heard. Mugambe was also found guilty of conspiring to intimidate the woman to withdraw her testimony. According to her UN profile page, Mugambe was appointed as a judge 3 months after police were called to her address in Oxfordshire. Thames Valley Police Commander for Oxfordshire said, Lydia Mugambe is an extremely qualified lawyer, a Ugandan High Court judge and a UN Criminal Tribunal judge. After the offences had been reported to the police, Mugambe tried to evade justice by repeatedly claiming she had diplomatic immunity due to her status. Any immunity Mugambe may have enjoyed as a UN judge has been waived by the Office of the United Nations Secretary-General. Uganda is a highly corrupt country, currently in turmoil as its chief member of the opposition is placed behind bars. Theresa May made tackling modern slavery a central piece of her premiership. She warned changes to migration legislation could put slaves at risk.
This bill has been marketed as a stop the boats bill. We all want to stop the boats. Nobody wants to see people risking their lives in small boats across the Channel, as we don't want to see them risking their lives in unseaworthy vessels across the Mediterranean. But this bill is not just written to stop the boats. It covers all illegal migration and its unwritten subtext is the Stop Certain Victims Claims of Modern Slavery bill. Not stop false claims of modern slavery, but stop all claims full stop. And the evidence of the police is clear. If you want victims to provide evidence to bring slave drivers to justice, the victims need time, they need support, and they need to be here.
It was reported at the time that modern slaves were present in every town across Britain. Up to 50 million were present around the world. Rafe Hadel-Manku says global elites, often obsessed with the legacy of slavery and demanding reparations, should focus their efforts on the plight of currently held slaves.
None of this is actually about slavery and reparations. This is an avaricious cash grab by the Caribbean states, and the judge in question here is a long-standing reparations activist for the Caribbean states. And also from the left, of course, this is an attempt to undermine Britain and the West and use the politics of victimhood and post-colonial imperial guilt to do that. And once you look at it through that lens, then you begin to understand the geopolitics here and what's going on. It's no surprise either that another judge on the ICJ was a former member of the communist government who now sits on there, who also voted on Chagos. Russia also trying to influence the ICJ on Chagos to essentially add costs to Britain as penalty for its position in the Ukraine war. And you know this is not about slavery, because if this was about slavery, you would have them equally vocal about the plight of modern slaves today, where 7 in every 1,000 Africans is a slave. 10 million people. The CNN reported that hundreds of slaves are sold every week in Libya. There are 800,000 slaves in Cameroon. So where are these people protesting outside the high commissions of Niger, of Nigeria, outside the Sudanese embassy? The fact that they are more concerned about the plights of people 200 years ago rather than those people we can save today speaks volumes about all of this. And of course, this thing about 18 trillion came out at a speech that this judge gave standing next to Sadiq Khan, a man who constantly lectures Britain about its role in the slave trade, wants a museum for slavery, yet he's always telling us that he's the son of a Pakistani bus driver. He went on an official visit to Pakistan, the global centre of slavery, and not one did he raise the topic. That, I think, speaks volumes.
We've also read today this remarkable story, I mean, I've just shared it on X, that we're taking down portraits of people like Nelson, probably the greatest naval commander that ever lived, and we're putting up portraits of Yvette Cooper. Now, I can't think of a single thing Yvette Cooper has ever achieved apart from losing control of our borders. And that, to me, seems to also play into what you're saying, in that people like Nelson apparently had some sort of loose connection with slavery, and yet here's the morally righteous, I would argue, narcissistic Labour MPs like Yvette Cooper being put up, and simply because I think she's a woman, that seems to be the only qualification. I mean, what is going on here?
Well, this is yet again part of the broader war in our history. It's no coincidence that the people who've been brought down in terms of pictures and so forth are our greatest heroes, you know, the giants of history, who we're now told are villains. There is no evidence whatsoever that Nelson supported slavery. The leading biographer of Nelson said the one letter that's held up as evidence was actually doctored after his death. But yet we've seen his portrait go down. We've mysteriously had William Wilberforce, the abolitionist of slavery, have his picture taken down. And 4 pictures of Elizabeth I have come down, whilst 4 of Lindsay Hoyle, the Speaker, have gone up. Someone please explain the logic behind that to me.
Many small boat arrivals to Britain are those who have been promised work. Some are taken for slave labour once they arrive. Others work freely, though illegally. The government has been stepping up immigration raids to clamp down on exploitation.
Under the cover of darkness, immigration officers and police move into this large agricultural business in North Wales.
No one up there? No, I'm in touch.
They're on the hunt for immigrants working here illegally. And it doesn't take long to find their first suspect.
On you now.
The man they've detained is a Romanian national.
What's your permission to be in the UK? You got a visa to come to the UK?
For several years after Brexit, EU citizens enjoyed a grace period when authorities didn't prosecute those working here unlawfully. But now, if they breach the rules, they're treated like any other illegal immigrant.
What visa have you got? Work visa?
For 6 months, yeah.
6 months? Visit visa?
Yes.
Okay, right. You're not allowed to work with that, okay? So at the moment, okay, you're under arrest, okay? For breaching the conditions of your leave to remain in the UK. Do you understand?
As fellow officers search for other suspects, the Romanian has walked back to his accommodation on the site for further checks.
Anybody else in your caravan?
Inside a cluster of caravans, more suspects, all Romanian, are being questioned.
Where is your passport?
Officers told me they see very significant numbers of Romanians and Bulgarians in particular abusing UK immigration rules to work here illegally. An increasingly popular means of arrival is through the common travel arrangement with Ireland, and some of those detained here may well have come through that route.
We've got individuals that we've got a trace of them exiting the country. We've got no trace of them coming into the country. So we haven't bottomed that out yet, but what we found in the past is that they will have come through Ireland and then through the common travel area, you know, avoiding the controls.
In nearby offices, another group of Romanians are being questioned. Although the Home Office was unable to provide us with a detailed breakdown of the number of EU nationals arrested on immigration offences over the past year, this enforcement team told me it's definitely on the rise, and many are coming through Ireland.
Not just EEA nationals that are going through Ireland, it's other foreign nationals, because it can be like the back door into the UK. So you've got the small boats where people are coming in illegally. You've got other clandestine that are coming in the back of lorry, but obviously there's the abuse of the CTA as well.
Many others are simply arriving on tourist visas and then finding employment in breach of the law. As officers question the suspects with the help of interpreters over the phone, it quickly becomes apparent why some are willing to take the risk.
Okay, so how much do you get paid?
1,000 a week.
£1,000 per week.
For those employing illegal workers, these enforcement raids can be very costly indeed, with fines of up to £45,000 per illegal worker. Yet right across the country, thousands of employers continue to flout the law. Since Labour came to power, immigration enforcement raids have increased by more than a third over the same period the year before. But despite more than 3,000 arrests over the past 6 months, it's still only a tiny fraction of the number of illegal immigrants here, with unofficial estimates putting that figure at more than 1.5 million. Mark White, GB News, North Wales.